What's up and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you 7 weird and wonderful tricks that might even be considered illegal, starting with the strawberry milkshake. So this one, the foot position is quite strange to a normal trick. Your front foot kind of almost faces forward and your back foot has a very similar positioning but right on the side of the tail. The reason why our foot is on the side of the tail like here is because with the strawberry milkshake, as this foot steps off the board, kind of like a no comply, the back foot pulls the board on the side like this, and then once you're here, it like kicks it round and stomps it down. So to really slow it down, pull the board on its side, and then it goes like that. It's quite hard to show you the movement because obviously it's one of them things where you have to do it really quick to make it work. But essentially, so the front foot comes off and the back foot does this. But as you're moving, the momentum will help keep the board straight as opposed to stopping 90 degrees. And with a bit of practice, you should end up with something like this. On to the next one. Number 2 is a royal flip, and that looks a little something like this. So if you couldn't tell, a royal flip is a kick flip and a body varial. If you don't already have kick flip, you're gonna find this one a lot more difficult. So if you wanna learn kick flip first, I would highly, highly recommend that. But if you've learned it already, let me give you some tips. So a good way to practice would be to do the exact movement you would for a kick flip, just standing here with no board, and then at the very last second, switch your hips round to be the other way. Hips go first and shoulders follow, in my opinion, so it goes like this. If you can hold yourself in the air till the last second and then just switch it round, it's gonna help a lot. So like that. It can take a little while to get used to it because obviously it is a fast, explosive movement, but jump, flick, and then switch at the very last second. It's a hard trick. There is no way around it. It's a hard trick. Better to learn it early on than later on. I feel like if you spend too much time learning like more traditional tricks, stuff like this becomes harder. But if you learn hard stuff like this while doing traditional tricks, they tend to fuse together a lot better and work a lot easier. So with that being said, I'd say practice it stationary, but at the end of the day, I'd say movement makes it a bit easier, but when you first learn, stationary is always more safe. Anyway, so practice stationary, land a bunch upside down on the board. You're gonna do that quite a lot. And then eventually you should end up with one like that. On to trick number 3. All right, number 3 is the boneless hard flip, one of my personal favorites, and it's actually pretty easy compared to some of the other ones on this list. So a boneless, if you didn't know, the front foot comes off, your opposite hand grabs the outer facing side of the board, you kick it up with your back foot still on it, and then you bring it back in and land. That's a regular boneless, but to do a hard flip, we do the hard flip with our hand, and that looks a little something like this one. Quite simple, fairly easy, and very low risk. So let me show you exactly what we're doing. So you know what we're doing? We're taking the front foot off, we're grabbing the outer side of the board, but once we're here, that's where we have to worry about the hard flip, and it's actually a lot easier than it looks. If you're holding the board like this, you want to flip it towards you. So like throw it like this way towards you, and also give it a little bit of a flip with the as you do it. So it looks like this. You can practice this as much as you want, but essentially the board flips and spins, and try not to drop it on your foot. So if we were to throw a practice in, front foot off, grab the board, spin it, hold and jump back on. When you first start learning it, it's probably gonna look a little something like this for the first like month maybe. You're gonna take your front foot off, other hand on, scrape the tail. Once you're here, hard flip, hold it, jump, and roll away clean. That's essentially the whole trick broken down. So when you're ready to do it all at once, it's gonna look just like this. On to the next one. All right, so trick number 4 is the hospital flip. You don't see this one very often, but it is one of my favorites, kind of. I like setting it in skate because not many people can do it, but everyone always gets quite annoyed at you when you do set it on skate because It's a trick that you can do, but not many people learn it, so people are always like, ah. But anyway, let me shut up and show you the hospital flip. Let's get into how to do it. So the hospital flip can easily be confused with a shove it, essentially because the board almost does the exact same motion. A shove it, if you didn't know already, goes like this, but a hospital flip goes like this. It looks very similar, right? The key difference is that with a pop shove it, you use your back foot to scoot the tail, which causes it to go like this. With a hospital flip, you pop down slightly to the side, your front foot flicks the board, causing it to do a quarter to half flip, and then that same front foot, which is under here at this point, pulls the board over, and it does it like that. So essentially a shove it, but the spin and rotation is done with the front foot by half flipping the board first, so it goes like, instead of going straight horizontal on its x-axis, it goes on its y-axis. Okay, that's the complexity of the trick explained. Let me try and give you some tips on how to do it. So, the front foot goes really low on the board for me. That's because you definitely don't want it above halfway, for me personally anyway. The back foot I'm putting about center on my tail. I'm popping straight down with this leg. At the same time, I'm doing a quarter to half kick flip off the side. And then as soon as the board starts flipping off my front foot, I'm pulling the foot back. So it goes like this. You half flip and then pull that foot back. Like that. So remember, that front foot is going to half flip and bring the board straight back. See how the front foot stayed attached to the board the whole time? Now, my hospital flips aren't the best, but with a little bit of practice, you should hopefully get a fairly decent one like this. And now we just got to add a bit of momentum moving forward. I would say there's a good chance this is the most difficult trick on this list, but also there are definitely some beginners out there that can do it better than me. So just practice it. Just practice it, and eventually, hopefully, you should get a nice hospital flip. Like that. All right, number 5 is the double no comply. Quite a disliked trick by people that don't do no complies and stuff, but for me personally, any kind of creative trick, I'm up for it. So let me show you the double no comply right here. Let's get into it. So it's going to be more than handy to already know how to frontside 180 no comply before you learn this trick. Mainly being because you need it to even do it. So a frontside no comply, if you don't know, front foot comes off, back foot follows the board, and then you step back on after turning 180 degrees. It's the easiest no comply for sure. So practice this first, and hopefully get one cleaner than me, like this. Once you've got that, we're ready to do the second one. So it's essentially the same thing, but after doing our first pop, instead of jumping onto the board, we go for a second pop and then jump onto the board. So you've got to get used to stepping off, popping around, and catching it in the same spot you popped it from. So you want to be like here, and aiming to land back on the tail, here, aim to land there, here, aim to land there, aim to land there, and just practice that until you can pop one side into the other as many times as you need to. And then practice this. See how I popped it round, then did the no comply 180 straight after. So that's a great way to practice. So 1, 2, just like that. Now we're ready to try it fully. So first off, take it real slow. 180, stop for a second. Once you're here, hop it again. Step on and ride away. Now you've done everything needed for the trick, just not quite fast enough. So let's add it all together for one final hurrah. Double no comply, bang, bang, and we're in. On to trick number 6. Okay, my penultimate trick is going to be the old school varial. If you don't know what an old school flip is, this is very similar, just with an extra 180 with the board. But essentially, it looks like this, and I'm going to explain it for you in a second. Bit of a sketchy one, but you get the idea. So our front foot we've got pointing forward. Our back foot is going to be on like this, you know the dent of the shoe in the middle there where the shoe like dents in? We're going to be putting that on the side of the board here, so it like almost hugs underneath, and the toes hook under the board. That's how we get it to flip without popping. We hook this foot under like this, and we jump out of the way with this one. Another point of advice is if you put a bit of weight on this foot, it lifts up this side. So for example, if I've got my weight balanced, the board's flat. If I've got a bit of extra weight on this leg, the board lifts up, makes it easier for me to hook my foot underneath. I'd say practice just a regular old school flip first, which is just hooking it and getting onto it like that. The basic version is easy over body varial and looks like this. But our version, we're going to be doing a revert as well. So this is one of them ones that's going to require a lot of practice, watching slow-mos, checking out everything I'm doing and really researching and watching your own videos back. So I'm putting in a few slow-mos here of me doing the tricks. You can really see the workings out. But essentially, once you get the practice and you get the technique down with the old school flip, you should be all right and you should end up with something like this. So our final trick for this video is very similar to the royal flip, but actually I would consider this one harder, believe it or not, and this is the ollie body varial. Kickflip body varial, ollie body varial. You'd think the kickflip would be harder, but funny enough, the ollie is much harder for most people. Right, so it looks like this. Let's find out how. So the number one neglected tip for this trick that helped me learn it is the fact that instead of trying to ollie and immediately while you're ollieing, trying to body varial straight away, it doesn't work. You need to finish the ollie and then do the body varial. By that, I mean, most people when they try it, they'll pop and immediately after they've popped, they'll try and switch their body around and you'll just end up with the board like this in the air and it looks terrible. To do it properly, you have to pop, level out the board with your front foot by lifting it up, like this, and then once you're here, once your ollie's been leveled out, this is the point where you swing the hips around and land the other way. So make sure that you pop, push the front of the board to level it out, and then switch, because otherwise you're going to be so much more injury prone. Just push the front down and then switch stance. This is another one of them ones that seems really, really difficult at first and takes a while to learn. Takes a little bit less time to get quite nice, and then once you've got it nice, it generally becomes quite an easy trick, but the learning process is definitely harder than most other tricks like kick flips, heel flips, stuff like that. I don't know why this one's so difficult, it just happens to be. But after what I've just told you, you should be okay. Just remember to pop, push this leg down to level out the board, and then immediately jump off. So as we did with the kick flip, our foot movement will be like, just without the flick. So this leg comes up as we jump off this one, like this. And then immediately we spin around like. You almost want to try and like turn your upper half before your bottom half a little bit, just on this ollie one. So it's like, see what I mean? I'll do it one more time. Jump, pop, spin. Now, is it easier stationary or moving? I'll find out. I mean, it's fine to do while stationary, it's just a bit less fluid. Yeah, that works. So you'll probably fall off a bunch like you keep seeing me do, but it's quite common to step off when you're not moving. But with the tips I've just told you and a little bit of practice, you should end up with something like this. See you in the next one.